again. Welcome to yet another video introducing the Minor Arcana cards of the Magician Longs to See Tarot deck by Mackey, which has been designed based on the Rider Waite tarot deck, that old tarot deck that everybody recognises the imagery from, but done with Twin Peaks in mind, which is why I am doing these tarot readings, because I love Twin Peaks. Okay, so there's videos out there from by me on the Major Arcana, and also ones for the Minor Arcana logs, cups and pentacles, which is poker chips in this case. So what we have left here then is swords, the sword cards. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful cards, as you can imagine, because swords are about defense and fighting. There's a lot of Bookhouse symbology. Bookhouse boys here. I love that card, isn't it great? Okay, so let's go through these. First up we have, like I said, the Bookhouse boys emblem. It's the Ace of Swords. And it's very, very much like, well, it is there. It's perfect, really. If you compare it to the original Rider Waite deck, it's just worked perfectly for this card. I assume that's someone like Harry Truman's hand holding that sword out. It's the protector of Twin Peaks. And the swords are air signs, so that would be Gemini, Libra, and I'm always so rubbish at this, aren't I? Is it Aquarius? I always think that Aquarius should be water and they're not. I think that's what I can't remember. Okay, so Ace of Swords, what does that mean? Well, it means new ideas, new plans, victory, success, mental clarity, that kind of thing. So it's a good card to get if you are, if you've got a new plan in place, and or that you need to be mindfully stimulated. If you've got a new project on the go, it's going to be a great success. So in reverse, it's about the lack of ideas, failure to complete a project, things like this, creative blocks, frustration, and not being able to put your mind to what you really want to do. So there you go, Bookhouse boy. There he is, the myth and legend that is Albert Rosenfield. Here he sits in the morgue with Laura's body, waiting to do the autopsy with two massive swords. Thankfully he didn't use those in real life. So, in real life or in the TV show, Laura, you have to remember it is actually just a TV show. So he sits here. We know the scene isn't particularly nice, and we thought, oh, Albert is a bit of a dick from this first scene, really, with him as he fights with Doc Hayward and gets punched by Harry for disrespecting the body of Laura Palmer. There's a moon here. I'm not sure why this moon is hanging above him. He has a mask over his eyes, but I think that's just from, that's medical goggles, I would say. But what does the Two of Swords mean in tarot? It means generally the way that his arms are crossed like this. It tends to mean it's a stalemate, like or having to make a truce, which works well in this case because Coop convinced Albert not to press any charge. Well, he didn't actually, did he? I think he did want to, but then Gordon made him change his mind. And but yes, it's sitting on the fence, difficult decisions to make, stressful choices, this kind of thing. It also means having to face your fears, and you're torn between relationships, and I'm guessing that is how Albert probably felt. He's not very good at opening up, is our Albert, but he was doing a job, but he just hasn't got the social skills. And in reverse, it means similarly sort of indecision, delays, postponement, exposing lies as well, and perhaps overwhelming fears and stress and worry. So it's not a great card to get if you have it in your reading, but it's not, you know, it's not the worst either. You can overcome this. You can have a truce. Next up, and this is again, it's another perfect card. It's from the, like, as to be taken from the Rider Waite deck, but it looks perfect in this deck too. It's just the perfect symbology. So we have Diane. I'm not sure if it's supposed to go this way. That would mean that everything's upside down. I don't know. Anyway, you got some upside down trees, wind, Diane with 3 swords. Diane, the tape recorder, I should say. Now I have my big theories about whether Diane was ever more than a tape recorder. I'm not convinced she was, honestly. But hey, I will talk about that later. This is Diane as we once knew her back in the olden days, the 90s. This card means, in general, it means heartbreak, betrayal, loneliness, depression, separation, confusion. Oh, it is, yeah, it's not a nice card, this one. You've been struck 3 times. No coming back from that. But in reverse, it is overcoming depression, recovering from heartbreak, reconciliation, or getting over grief and sorrow. So in reverse, it's a good card to see to show up for you. Okay. Next, another tragic card, this one. Leland on top of Laura's coffin as it goes up and down in the gravestone. Oh, it was really traumatic actually, and I know that people laughed about it afterwards. Even Shelly, who was usually lovely, she was there mocking him going up and down. But yeah, there's 3 swords here, I guess, for the funeral directors, and Leland on top of his daughter again. So what does the 4 of Swords mean? It generally means fear and anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, mentally exhausted, the need for solitude and relaxation, rest and peace, and that's exactly what Leland needed here. It's time. It's also a card to remind you to take some time out for yourself. Take some time to heal and recuperate. Protect yourself. You need to protect yourself from this kind of pain. In reverse, it is a good card. It's about you finding mental strength and maybe having an awakening, rejoining the world, or coming out of isolation. So yeah, it's after a mental breakdown or collapse, it's recovery after that. So yeah, remember, this is a card to remind you to take care of yourself. Okay. 5. the Five of Swords. It's a strange one, this. We got Denise, who was once Dennis. It's a strange one because we've got a UFO here, and a man and a woman, and I don't know if that's like suggesting because of her sex change, whether that's what the man and the woman represent here. Not sure. Let's see what the card means though. So, okay, so it usually means walking away from a situation, self-sacrificing, self-sabotage, bullying, intimidation and abuse, which we all know that Denise will definitely have experienced at the Bureau while she was making her way up to the top. Because yes, I can't imagine that a transgender woman in the police force went down too well. But Gordon Cole told everyone to fix their hearts or die, so there she is at the top of her game. Okay, so, but in reverse, it can mean a peaceful resolution, moving on, better communication, and ending a conflict. So, yeah, that's a good card to get in reverse, especially if you're having some trouble with family or colleagues or that kind of thing. So, it's one to look out for. Very strange, this UFO business. I suppose it links to the Project Blue Book stuff, but really Denise is DEA, so it's strange. It might just be a link to the X-Files. Who knows? Next up is the Six of Swords. This wonderful scene where Big Ed and Coop ride the boat to One-Eyed Jack's in disguise, with Ed as the oral surgeon in that fantastic wig and moustache. Brilliant, isn't it? Coop really didn't do much taller than put a tux on, but then nobody knew him in town anyway, so he didn't really need to. There we go, these boys. And so this is the Six of Swords. And of course this was a Bookhouse Boys secret trip, really, to stake out One-Eyed Jack's for the cocaine deal, and also later it became to rescue Audrey. But so the thing is here though is that Cooper's gone out of his jurisdiction to cross the border into Canada, so he's being a bit naughty here, risking quite a bit. But the Six of Swords upright means it means calmer waters, funnily enough. Calm waters, healing, progress, moving on and moving forward. The calm after a storm, that kind of thing. It's about journeys and travelling overseas as well, so maybe going on holiday, and could also mean spirit guides because they often come via water. In reverse, it does tell you that trouble is coming. It might be a situation where you're coming out of the frying pan and into the fire, so do be careful if you get this card. Yes, well, in reverse especially, it's about stormy relationships, some sort of rocky waters, instability, coming back from travelling, which is always sad. And also accidents and bloods, and this is very water related, this card, so keep an eye out for that one if you're travelling anywhere soon. Next up we have the Seven of Swords, and we've got Hank looking dastardly there as he seems to be stealing lots of swords from the double R liner. But she wouldn't put it past him. He's even got, I don't know if you can see that, he's even got a domino in his teeth. Perfectly done. What the Seven of Swords means, and it's perfect with it, it's just basically Hank summed up. The Seven of Swords is a warning about deceit, lies, trickery, cheating, theft, underhand behaviour, everything that Hank is basically. It's also a warning about an enemy masquerading as a friend, so be careful. If you get this card in your reading, just be very aware of those around you and watch what they're doing. In reverse, it is someone perhaps in your life is going to confess something, come clean about something, and hopefully they will turn over a new leaf. Their conscience is kicking in, but they may be like a pathological liar or a serial cheater, so be careful. If you've got this card in your reading, just be on the lookout for danger. And next up, this Josie card. This is the Eight of Swords. This is Josie on the phone to Catherine. I believe, if I've got this scene right, it's where Catherine tells her that her shenanigans have cost them $87,000 when she shut the mill to give everyone a day off after Renette was found missing and Laura was found dead. So what does this card mean? It means it's the card about feeling trapped. She's like pinned really behind these swords. She feels restricted and backed into a corner, like her hands are tied. She's a victim, so and she certainly did play that part for a while. I mean, she had actually been treated badly beforehand, but she did play a very innocent character when she wasn't completely innocent. But this is drama and crisis, slavery, persecution. And I think Josie represents that pretty well in the series too. In reverse, it means the opposite. So escape, freedom, release, finding a way out, taking control and standing up for yourself. So it's a good card to get. Yeah, it could be the end of severe depression as well, because you know your prison isn't always a physical one. So it could be recovering from illness or mental illness. So it's good if you have a discard in reverse. Next we have the Nine of Swords. And this is poor Harry. In the Bookhouse, after learning about Josie's, well, her misdemeanor, not only her misdemeanors, but then her death as well. He loved Josie very much, of course. He sat there drinking alcohol with his gun and just keeping himself away, isolated from the rest of the world, basically. And so what does the Nine of Swords mean? It means all of those things, really. It's fear, anxiety, terror, deep unhappiness, stress, burden, the inability to cope or face life. It's mental anguish, guilt, regret, remorse. It's just, it's being the subject of gossip, people are talking about you. And there's so many nightmares, insomnia, and just pure pure heartbreak and grief. However, if you have this card in reverse, it's meaning the end of that awful period of grief. So it could be like the light at the end of the tunnel, recovery, letting go of negativity and stress, night, sleeping better after being so distraught for so long. Okay. Yeah, and Josie again on this card. Seems to be the tale of Josie, this this suit, really. So this is the 10 of Swords. And it's pretty bad, isn't it? It's poor Josie, she's got 10 swords in her ear. And obviously she didn't really have 10 swords in her in the TV show. She just died of fear. And Bob took her soul, I believe. Well, banished it to a doorknob, as you can see there. That happens. So, and what does the 10 of Swords represent in the tarot deck? Well, it's about backstabbing, betrayal, enemies, people bitching, bad-mouthing, bitterness, that kind of, it's being hurt really badly by people having to sever ties and say goodbye and look to people who you thought were friends but clearly aren't. So yeah, she was betrayed badly by the people she loved, except for Truman. She couldn't tell Truman what was happening, but she was abused her entire life, our Josie, and always treated badly. So I have quite a lot of sympathy for Josie's character, actually. Again, when I'm actually doing readings, I'll talk about that in more depth. Okay. And now on the Page of Swords, Bobby Briggs. And now, if season 3 hadn't happened, he'd be a strange choice for the Page of Swords, I think. But as he's a police officer in season 3, it does make sense now. But what does the Page of Swords mean? It means delayed news. Patience is required. Someone who's quite protective and guarded. Somebody who needs to think before they speak. They're quite inquisitive and curious, but they are quick-witted and chatty. But yeah, there is a bit of bad. There is a bit of bad in them. They are the gossips. They are a bit spiteful, being perhaps over-direct with what they say to people. That does sound a bit like Bobby. He is mostly good. He certainly was good in season 3. In reverse, this card would mean maybe having disappointing news, being over-defensive, bit of a player, somebody playing mind games with you. He's, a bit cold, sarcastic, cynical, malicious. It sounds more like Albert, actually, but yeah, there's a bit of delinquency going on there, and that's definitely Bobby. Bobby is a kid, anyway. There's football, cooking football there, and a gun from when he killed Cliff. Bad boy Bobby. Right, next is another hero. A hero of Twin Peaks. The Big Lug Ed. There he is at his Ed's gas farm, and he rides, well, with such gusto, doesn't he? This brown horse, which I think is probably representative of his truck. Okay, oh bless old Ed. There's plaster on his head from, well, oh yeah, he was got into the fight at the Bookhouse, didn't he, with Bobby and Mike. That's where that came from. Okay, and so Ed was a member of the Bookhouse Boys, of course, the secret society and protectors of Twin Peaks. Let's have a look. What does the Knight of Swords represent in the tarot deck? Okay, so this card is telling you to seize the day, basically. Take a risk, be honest and assertive, and just tell people what you want. It could be a man or a male energy in your life that is very much like this. You need this person to tell you the truth. It's a forward-thinking person, a risk-taker, a proper hero, champion, soldier type. This is our hero on horseback, and yeah, if he comes for you, take note. In reverse, it's a feeling of being out of control, or someone being quite tactless or hurtful towards you. Because the fine line between hero and bully, and feeling someone that's being overly aggressive or forceful against you. So not that Ed would ever be like that, but in general that's what the Knight of Swords tarot card usually means. But with Ed, we know he's just pure hero, pure kindness, pure love. Everyone's got to love Big Ed. Next up we have Mrs. Shelly Johnson. That's she sat here. She's the Queen of Swords. Her throne is a wheelchair, the wheelchair that was made for Leo when he came out of hospital after she and Bobby had agreed to take care of him at home, which was a bad idea. But who is Shelly? Shelly is a sweetheart, isn't she? I mean, she's gorgeous as well, and she's just kind, really, and a bit naive, and picks the worst men, really the worst. But Shelly is this feminine energy, or a woman in your life who is honest and truthful. She's very protective and an independent soul. She's witty and funny and principled, fair. She's quite quirky though, and yeah, she's a strong woman underneath it all. She has a sharp wit, and she's very self-reliant as it goes. She's quite open-minded, and she's a good mother. She's quite full of past trauma, and she has quite a lot of regressed pain in there too. She always falls for the wrong guy because she's quite vulnerable, really. In reverse, the Queen of Swords can be quite cutting. She doesn't have that much empathy. She can sound sometimes a little bit rude or spread malicious gossip. So yeah, be careful about any women or female energies in your life that behave like this. These are all water signs, not water signs, air signs, like I said. So yes, keep a lookout if there's any women in your life like that who are air signs. Yes, so she can be a little bit nasty, a bit cruel and deceitful, and yeah, she can be spiteful and vindictive at times. Very rarely, but that does happen, and it's not usually, Shelly's not usually like that. Okay, and the last of the air cards, the King of Swords, is our Deputy Hawk. The goat, the greatest of all time. He's my favourite. He's actually wearing, I think, the LK ring there, like me. But he should be wearing it because it was a Nezper's heirloom, and it went into the wrong hands, and it should have stayed with the Nez Perce, as should have all their land. But that again is too political to talk about right now. And Hawke sits on his tree throne here. He's got a white house and a black house, knowing full well that he knows about the black and white lodges pretty well. Some owls, I assume, up there. Might be bats, but I think that'd be owls. Yeah, and he's a legend. He is the ledge. So what does the King of Swords mean when they come up in a reading for you? Structure, routine, intelligence, and logical power, but really self-disciplined and really quite clever. Not just clever, spiritually, intuitively clever. He has such a way of knowing there's something to pay attention to, and he was the best tracker. He just knew what to do. He was always there when you needed him, and always will be. He's cool, and he's got morals, and he can be quite stern, but he needs to be. He is a police officer at the end of the day. In reverse, and I've never seen any bad side of Hawke, perhaps only when he was falling over land and budding a bit. That was a bit meh. That was like the only time I thought, oh, come on, Hawke. But yeah, so in reverse, this does not sound like our Hawke at all. It's intelligence being used in a bad way, irrational behaviour, illogical, power-crazed, dictator-type, oppressive and inhumane. Everything you can never imagine Hawke to be. It's quite cruel and ruthless, and yeah, lack of morals and integrity. So can you ever even imagine Hawke being like that? No, never. So hopefully that'll never come up in anyone's reading upside down. So there we have it. There are the swords. Thank you again for watching this video. And please do like this video if you did like it. And subscribe to the channel if you want to be alerted to your readings, which I'll be doing very soon. So yeah, I'll be doing one for every zodiac sign. I think I'm going to do general readings and then love readings, hopefully, if I've got enough time each month. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.